Hey there, Film Buds. Welcome back to the Film Buds podcast. I'm your host, Paul.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are joined by friend of the show, Nicholas Delgadillo.
Woo!
Nick, how
He's
you doing?
here. He's back. I'm good. I've arrived in the digital realm.
Good.
Just now for the first time.
It's not the very first time experiencing life in the digital realm. I've uploaded my conscience
That's right.
to the World
Truly.
Wide Web, and it's honestly a bit too much.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you have a little piece of property in some sort of NFT neighborhood?
No, I don't.
No.
I mean, it's probably for the best.
I'm sorry. Like
but-
the controversy and like ethical stuff and like honestly whatever the hell stuff aside about NFTs. The bottom line is I didn't understand it. I still don't in any sense. And please don't try to explain it. It's been like a year or whatever.
I'm better
Yeah,
without
I
it.
don't get it. I don't know if I'm better, but like I'm alive.
You're fine without it.
Really-
I'll tell
really
you that
weird.
you're better without it.
Really weird stuff. I'm not judgmental about most interests, but it's a weird one.
I think I would honestly prefer very elaborate trains, someone who goes and obsessively makes Rube Goldberg machines, that sort of thing.
I mean, well, those kick ass for sure. I get what's going on there. Again, like even I understand what's happening there, even if I don't enjoy it or not. But with NFTs, I don't understand it. I can't.
It's
Can't
okay,
make
they
heads
don't
or
either.
No, that's a fact. That's why they all got grifted by those teenagers.
Exactly. Because everybody thought it was going to be the next big thing, and nobody understood what it was. And that's just that.
But anywho, now that Nick has joined us in the digital realm, it's been a while since
Speaking of things that everyone thought was going to be the next big thing, then nobody understood what it was. And who could? Let's talk about this movie we're going to talk about.
Oh, jeez.
That's right.
He's ready for it. All right. Well, then we can go ahead and we can jump right on into this bad boy. So this month, of course, we've been doing, Steven Spielberg films, and we've been sort of working our way through his filmography. We've done some of his previous films, Close Encounters, before we did this month, Jaws, etc. And so, we went and we did Duel, his first big TV movie. Then we did Sugarland Express, his first big theatrical film. And so all that was left, sort of in order of his early films was an odd little film that some people may or may not have heard of called 1941 that is considered Steven Spielberg's flop. And it was an epic flop. It was billed as a comedy spectacular. The film is written by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. It's directed by Steven Spielberg. And, it's got,
Everybody.
for the time, huge
The cast is
names.
insane.
The cast on this movie is
insane.
stacked. John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Treat Williams, Nancy Allen, Ned Beatty, Lorraine Gary, Murray Hamilton, Christopher Lee, Toshiro Mifune, Tim Matheson, Robert Stack. It's truly John Candy.
John Candy.
It's truly one of the most insanely enormous casts ever. And, it seemed like a natural progression to a degree for Spielberg. It's World War II, one of his interests. It's this big spectacle film. And the premise is hysterical Californians prepare for a Japanese invasion in the days after Pearl Harbor. Funny how they really try to sink down what's like 5 different plots into a single sentence.
Just putting it very simply.
And
Too
so,
simply, really.
I guess with all that being said, especially since you're ready to talk about it, Nick, what did you think of 1941? Had you seen this film before? Had you heard about this film before?
I'd never in my life seen this movie. I don't even know if I've heard of it. I maybe have like seen it, just looking at some point or another at like Steven Spielberg's filmography. I had no idea what it was about beforehand.
Amazing.
What a way to go into a movie.
Here's one of the many things that's interesting about this movie is that it's kind of like it's interesting there's such like a recent comparison, but there's like it's when a director starts getting famous and he does like a crazy expensive looking movie, like crazy expensive movie with like a crazy cast like Babylon that just came out. That's like, I don't know, that's just like depraved. There's like a manic energy. There's cocaine energy to it.
Fantastic. That's right.
There's cocaine energy in 1941.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
I really like stuff like this. That's like, it's a really silly story. Mm-hmm. It's fun how it's like based off of like actual events. Well, it's such like a specific time period that it gets set in. Mm-hmm. Time period and setting. I think it has a lot of fun with. Steven Spielberg is just one of the best directors like ever, period. And so like some of the stuff in this is just insane. It not to like be old, and I don't say this all the time, but like for real, like they don't make them like this anymore.
Yeah.
Like so much of this, I'm like, I don't understand how they did that. Like that's crazy. The dance sequence is insanity. An interesting little like decades early precursor to like a sequence like West Side Story or something, you know. Mm-hmm. The flying sequences are crazy. Like flying through the planes, flying through the city and stuff. That looks so good.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot in this that is funny. The problem, and reading more about it, the problem is that it's not like consistently funny enough. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's also very offensive. There's no way around that. It's very offensive towards the Japanese. Which
what?
Yeah, so it's one of those like, oh, it was the time period. Yes.
But
no, for sure.
Yeah, and you don't really, I don't know, you don't really care about any of the characters, I don't think.
No, I think that's fair.
Some of them are bizarre, like the woman whose entire purpose is that she gets horny around planes.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And like at first there seems to be like more to her. But then there's not. Yeah. She just wants to have sex in an airplane. That's her entire thing. Whatever. It's fun seeing all these like character all these different things merge in unexpected ways that like results in growing chaos through like one very eventful night. So I like that. I don't know if this movie is good. It's continuously like very impressive. Really jaw-dropping at points for sure. Good in that way. Like I said, I don't actually really care about any of the characters or anything like that. I wouldn't say I was
invested.
I wasn't like, I didn't feel an emotion. You know what I mean? Like entertained at points, if it's not really an emotion.
No, I understand where you're at with that.
I'm saying too much. Help me out here. What did you
Dear, what did you think? Help Nick out.
Oh gosh, what do I think about 1941? I think that Steven put every funny idea he could ever think of into a hat and drew them out at random, and that's how he caught this movie. It's just all over the place. And you're right. There are parts of this movie that are truly spectacular to watch. There's parts of this movie that are actually very funny. But the problem is, it's just I don't care. I don't care about any of it. I don't care about these people. What are their names? What are their names? I don't know anybody's name. Right. Everything is going at you at like 50 miles per hour. You know, it's just constant the whole way through, to the point where I honestly got like bored a little bit with it, because it was just like a deluge. It like there was no like ebbs and flows to the comedy. They were like, we're going to be funny all of the time, and sometimes that just didn't work. You know,
I like. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, go.
I was gonna say, like, here the parts that I like the family on the coast that have the gun placed at their house. I think all of that works really well. I really like the dance sequence, and I like the chaos in the streets, but I don't care about the dude who's trying to get the girl from the dance, and like the scary army guy who's like trying to take her.
Yeah. Right.
I don't care much about that. So sorry, no disrespect to her. It's that entire plot line.
Well, I mean, honestly, you know, she's just as interchangeable as the I want to have sex on planes chick. You know, like, who are either of them? The army guys are army guys are army guys. You know,
not much win for the women in 1940.
No, really, the younger cast doesn't get a lot to do because they're not the famous ones. You know, they're not Dan Aykroyd.
Her friend gets some like amazing physical comedy going on.
Yeah. Her character is insane. The friend character is a lunatic. Her character is, but
that's what ends up working, because her character is equally as like shallow and like one like
vain,
as far as like writing. Yeah. Just like she just wants to get with this good one guy.
Yeah.
But like you said, she's an absolute lunatic, so that's just ends up being funny working for her.
I mean, yeah, no, but
because she matches like the heightened.
Oh yeah. She knows exactly what film she's in.
Whereas what you were saying, whereas like the other younger girl and like her love interest are like pretty boring.
No, yeah, like our Romeo and Juliet, I guess, storyline is like pretty like throw it away. You know, I didn't need so many storylines. Yeah. That's right.
So
and the other guy couldn't
I like
dance.
Dan Aykroyd.
That's because he's just doing whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny when he gets knocked out and the guy's like, you're like a father to me. Like, such very funny stuff there. I don't know if he's a general or whatever, some higher up dude. I love that he goes and watches Dumbo, and that's like his entire thing. Pretty much for most of the movie is that he goes to watch Dumbo
and just doesn't want to be bothered. What is it now?
I'm watching an animated classic.
I'm watching America's movie, Dumbo.
Amazing.
So let me tell you.
That's good stuff. Yeah, Paul's turn.
I was only familiar with this movie in the sense of everyone says, and then Spielberg bombed, you know, and then everyone just sort of walks over the movie, you know, they just sort of step right over the entire thing. And in the digital age, and you get involved in online discourse, you see movies try to get sort of reclaimed, right? Terrible films try to get brought back as misunderstood gems. This has never been one of them. I have never once seen anyone go, you know, the misunderstood classic of Spielberg.
No one's come to bat for like the one that contains like dozens of racial slurs.
No. But like, you know, no one's tried to be like, oh well, it's like MASH, you know, it's
but
we can kind of get past some of it.
It's like MASH on 1.5 speed.
Let me tell you, this movie is directionless. And that's also why it's Spielberg's worst movie, is it's ultimately directionless. Oof. You've got all of these plots, and it's based around that one sentence, I guess, is accurate. It's all about everyone's hysteria, about, what's going to happen in the wake of Pearl Harbor. But that's really hard material to milk. It is and it isn't to milk for comedy, but they make it so directionless that then when they try to wrap it all around toward an end goal, the point is too lost. We're too far gone.
Oh yeah, if you're talking about like what is the movie ultimately about, like it's not about anything.
No.
And not in a way like that seems purposeful. You know what
yes.
I mean? Not in like a silly like burn after reading like kind of.
No, it's just a half-baked cake. It's
it's like I don't know.
Of Spielberg's funniest ideas that he's ever had in his entire life, that he just.
And you're right, the reason that the family story works is because it's the one that has the entire groundwork laid as the narrative. That story, strangely enough, is the one that has the most bedrock laid in the first act of the movie, is the entire family leading up to the confrontation of the submarine in the bay. And that plot works also because it's kind of right there in Spielberg's sweet spot. Regular people, thrust into extraordinary situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This movie also just starts out on like a cocaine high, and then it just craters. It just comes down for 2 hours.
Oh,
and that's the other thing. This movie is criminally long for being a comedy and being so unfunny.
There's a longer
remarkable.
version. Did you watch the theatrical version or the extended cut?
Oh God, I think just the theatrical. I hope not. Oh my God,
was it 2 hours?
Now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the theatrical. That's the only one I could find too. There's if you get like the Blu-ray or something, there's an extended cut of like an extra half hour.
Like no. What's left?
God.
What's left? Maybe it almost starts to be like the longer version of Dawn of the Dead, where it almost becomes like so monotonous that it comes around on being good again. You know what I mean? Like it's making a point.
You know what else was funny is the guy that's kidnapped on the submarine. What was he had a very funny name. I assume he's just like some comedian. I forget his name because when his name came up in the credits, it was very funny.
Fantastic.
But I'm talking about like the country guy who gets kidnapped.
Yes.
Who is the one that rides the nuclear bomb?
He has to pretend to take a dump in the toilet.
It's fantastic, and that actor commits to the bit. That's why that his name. It's
Good job.
Oh, hold on. I do know exactly who you're talking about because we were talking about him with my mom. Oh God.
It's like a pre-Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
70s Larry the Cable.
Slim Pickens.
That's right.
Slim Pickens.
That's right. Good old Slim Pickens.
Fantastic.
Who was in Doctor Strangelove, which is phenomenal. And again, like this is all his type, like this is what he does. I also I did enjoy, of course, Eddie Deason as the odd ventriloquist.
Yes.
Also Know-It-All from the Polar Express and Eugene from Grease.
And Grease too, apparently.
He starts talking, and you're just like...
No, literally, it pulled all of my attention. I said, hold the phone. My childhood is talking.
It can't be.
Slammed on them brakes. But it's a pretty remarkable feat of a movie because you are right. It has some of the good Spielberg isms in the visuals. It's insane spectacle. The way that John Belushi gets introduced as a character. Let's talk about John Belushi.
John Belushi
actually.
in the entire film is in a different movie.
Yeah, what a waste of a character. Like, what? What an absolute astounding waste.
Oh my
I don't
Here
know
he
what's
comes
going
in
on
like
there.
a hurricane, and then he's just off doing whatever the fuck every time we cut away to him. And then he just shows up there at the end, screws up sort of everything, in his own sort of particular way, but is still sort of a hero figure at the end of the movie. It's sort of insane. It's madman stuff.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's honestly one of my favorite parts of the movie is just watching this man just run around and do war shit, but like nobody's giving him any orders.
It feels like they were trying to bank on like Blues Brothers chemistry, but that Aykroyd and Belushi were on like different schedules, and they were like, "Well, we can at least still put them on the poster together,"
Well, yeah, because it's just him like pretending to fly around. He's not interacting with anybody very much. He does it like twice in the movie.
Still chewing on that same bit of cigar.
That's one of the funniest
entire
bits
time.
is that it's like the same. It's this everlong little nub of a cigar.
But he just keeps smoking.
My favorite bit of his character is when he stops at the base and he like continuously drinks and then spits out the coffee throughout the whole scene.
Like there are moments of pure just comedy gold in this thing. Honestly.
It can be, very intermittently funny, but I think it's pure accident.
Oh yeah.
Because it's chaos happening in front of you.
Well, I think that's what his plan was when he put this all together. He was like, I'm going to put a bunch of funny people in this funny script, and they're all going to be funny.
Yeah.
And that's just going to be that. And I'm not going to really have to do anything, and I'm going to have made a comedy.
Yeah.
And it's
I do think it's funny when the Japanese destroy the Ferris wheel and they're like mission accomplished. Like,
we did it.
Like, good job, everybody. Excellent. And I think that's good. That's funny.
I enjoy Christopher Lee being a Nazi.
Christopher Lee. I can't handle thinking about when the Japanese general like kicks the gun out of his hand and he just screams in horror. He instantly knows that he's dead the second the gun is knocked out of his hand. Christopher Lee just really good stuff. I love the first time the dad fires the anti-air gun and like destroys like the shed or backs into the shed or bunch of destruction happens, and then he's like, I'm gonna reload, like do it again, like move his bag and do it again, and the old guy is like, all right. It's all right.
Ends up destroying the house. Perfect.
I did find it humorous, the setup for the bit where the military guy is like, and never, under any circumstances, jam the armor,
It's good stuff, man. Like I said, there's a lot of good stuff in it, but at the end of the day, you're just like, what? But what?
No,
but we
that's
were
all you could.
2 seconds away from people just throwing cream pies at each other. Like it was just so close.
They have like the wine gag or like the punch gag or whatever.
No, literally.
Like the chandelier.
I mean, we might as well have just have like the clowns doing seltzer bits. Like, they
have the egg. They have the egg gag.
Yeah,
that's right. See, like it's we're at the circus, the movie.
Spectacular.
But we haven't left the clown bits the entire time. Like you haven't gotten
literally for the entire 2 hours just do
literally
with the occasional like motorcycle trick over the clowns.
I mean, they literally have Dumbo in the film circus.
Yeah,
honestly, maybe that's the point. Is we're the Dumbos.
Yes. Well, and I think that you can have movies that have these kinds of, big overarching, insane comedic concepts, where everything is just a joke a mile a minute. Airplane, is a good example of one of those movies where from around the same sort of time period. But the thing that makes that movie work is that even when we cut away to a side bit, we know that we're on the same story. Airplane on calamitous course toward airport. Whereas because it's just people facing hysteria in the days after, it's a storyline in soft focus the entire time. And so anything that seems like a cutaway, unless it's immediately relevant in some kind of way, it's just, what are we doing here at a certain point with certain parts of the movie?
Mm-hmm.
And that's also what makes that 2-hour runtime unforgivable. And the idea of a longer one even more horrifying.
I feel like we could have done something interesting with the cutaways, almost done like gags of the times, like a safety commercial
like
or
a
something.
Tampopo thing.
Yeah, exactly. Where we're like, we just completely go off on a random tangent for a little bit in a completely different direction. And then we get back to our main people who are still going to go to the dance or whatever the hell that was about, and then they all end up in the same place for the Japanese bombing the Ferris wheel. That's fine. But I just felt like we were there were too many people that were almost doing the exact same things that I was like, I'm just confused. I'm just confused.
What was I gonna say? So a lot of white guys with black hair.
Right?
A lot of the same type of people. Yeah, like a lot of similar types.
Everybody's doing their tight 10, Everybody was told to improv at least 10 times.
Oh, another part that's funny is when it's very early on when the actual soldier guy, the nice one, the nice one, is trying to get it on with lady wants to have sex in an airplane. And not that the stuff they're saying is very funny. I get it. But it's when they're pulling the levers and stuff, and the other guys are going flying. That stuff's funny because it's just impressive commitment to the bit where that person, that stunt person was actually sent flying and crashed it or something.
No, it kind of reminds me of something that Mel Brooks would do or something, in one of his gags where it's this extremifying of the action to, make it extra funny. Is literally
it becomes this whole big physical gag along with.
You see too many comedies today are so they just don't have the means to do it or just don't do it of committing to really good physical comedy bits. They're either you either see weird CG in comedy, modern comedy movies, or just a non-commitment to the actual thing. What I mean?
Well, I think that with some modern comedies, one of the reasons that I think that Barb and Star, right, for an example, works so well is that, to your point, it commits wholeheartedly in every aspect to being a comedy movie. If it has to look cheap, or a little bit campy, that's fine. We're going to live in it wholeheartedly, We're going to be as wild and extreme. We're going to have a musical number if we want to. We'll have 2 if we need to. Whereas a lot of other mainstream comedy releases nowadays, I think aim for this sort of realism comedy, right? This sort of Office, Parks and Rec, workplace sort of.
It's all in the quirky dialogue.
Yes, yes, adorable characters and
quirky might not be the right word, but yeah,
I liked your adorkable.
Yeah, just it's supposed to be all in the clever. It's all in dialogue jokes.
Yeah,
we're all watching Frasier or something. It's highbrow.
Instead
of more physical comedy, I don't know. It's not low budget stuff. No, I have no idea.
And so I think that then a lot of times also when they do decide to use, a physical bit, it's oh, we'll just do, some CG thing. We're not going to go and commit wholeheartedly.
Well, I think that takes away from it a little bit because also that CG thing doesn't really have the weight or the, the impact of a real person doing a stunt. You feel that in Home Alone when those guys are getting fucked up. You're oh crap, these people are in peril. If that had just been some CG body, they could have done whatever they wanted with it and it would have lost the impact of the movement itself, why it is funny.
Well, that's also why some of the best physical comedy that I've seen in a movie lately actually came from the John Wick franchise, 2 and 3. Common and John Wick falling down that staircase eternally in a fight in John Wick 2 is hilarious. Their little quiet gunfight that's all really funny stuff, but we're using stunt performers and stunt people who know how to use action to tell a story, and that can also include comedy beats. Another good example of physical humor, Leo coming down the stairs in Wolf of Wall Street when he's high on Quaaludes, dragging himself. Excellent comedic stuff, but again, to your point, it's that full physical commitment to the bit.
Yeah.
And they sure do commit in 1941.
Oh, I will say that, yeah. And I think that, again, that's where the movie does its best, is when people are more committed to some of the better bits, because that's the other thing. There are some bits where everyone is just sort of like halfway there.
Yeah,
that's what, like, if you read like a lot of reviews and stuff for it, either like at the time or even some in more like contemporary reviews that are just like, it's just not funny enough. Like, it's funny, it's not funny enough to sustain like it being such a massive thing.
Yeah, and I guess
because it's also
that
not
does hold true.
It's also not like dramatic enough. Like, there's no drama in here that's like compelling. It's not like a comedy that also has a little bit like I said, like where you're like, oh, I actually care about this character. So when a comedy shoots for at least like a small dramatic meat, which this movie does not have,
you care enough about Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights. You care enough about his arc toward redemption, just enough.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, because he's not just the entire time doing funny things for funny's sake.
Yeah, and he loses everything and builds back up. He goes through bits. These people are just doing things.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
So, Nick, if you had to rate 1941 out of 5, what would you rate it?
Well, I don't know. I'm going back and forth between like a 2 and a 3. I give it a 2 just like in general for being a mess. But 3 for like, like I said, like being like really impressive. It's still like Steven Spielberg doing really big things. This movie
3 for the pure audacity, kind of.
This movie is huge.
Yeah,
it's craziness.
I see where you're at with that.
Or like 0 for being very offensive, depending on who you are. If you're like, absolutely fuck this movie, I'm sure I can't really argue with you there.
No, there's no fault on that one.
So there's that too. I don't know. I'm going with 3 because, like I said, they just don't make them like they used to here.
Fair enough. Dear, what about you?
One of these days we'll get like the big comedy comeback.
Maybe.
But it is not. Today.
I hope.
No.
Comedy is a cheap medium for a lot of people. People throw comedy away. They're like, oh, comedy's so easy. Being funny is hard. Yeah. Just look at this movie. It's trying really hard and it's not succeeding.
Comedy, like pure comedies at the moment, is like a very bleak landscape. Like stuff like that mixes comedy with like horror comedies. Like those are doing pretty well. Like The Menu is a hit. That's like kind of a horror comedy. Stuff like that. But like a pure comedy, it's been a while, I think.
Yeah.
Especially for a big one.
That one's been huge, yeah.
Well, we've been having such a hard time since we can't, be offensive anymore. We're like, oh crap, what's funny anymore now? I'm not making fun of people.
We can no longer use our facial slurs at will.
Like literally.
They're trying to suppress my right to say this word 96 times in my movie. I can do it if I want.
So
you can. We just do not have to distribute it.
That's right.
That's right, sir.
You can do whatever you want with it. You are correct. Sorry. What are you guys rating?
Yeah, so dear, if you had to rate it out of 5, what would you give it?
I'm gonna give this movie a 2.
That's fair.
I'm gonna give this movie a 2 because of all of the things that Nick said, but I'm just splitting the difference. It's a 2. Oh my goodness.
I don't have a desire to watch this movie again. Maybe like one more time years from now. And I'm gonna like do cocaine for the first time and watch the extended.
No, yeah, like I don't ever need to watch this film again. It was really hard for me to get all the way through the first time around. Like I don't know if I got that in me again. At least not right now. Not in this decade.
I don't want to do cocaine and watch this movie. I'm just kidding. I don't want to do that. I don't endorse anybody doing
I've seen better versions of this movie out there in the universe, so I think I'm just gonna I'll stick with those ones.
If I had to rate this thing, oh Jesus, what am I gonna give it? I'm gonna go with I'll give it a 2.5.
Oh.
I was the nicest of all.
That's right.
It is audacious at times. It is funny at times. It earned some really good laughs. And I think that, again, you could maybe even go and edit this bad boy down to being like 45 minutes, and you've got like a great little short in there, about this suburban family in the height of this hysteria. However, the rest of it is all over the place, and it ultimately becomes just an absolute car wreck of a movie at a certain point.
What on earth were they trying to say about like the Zoot Suit riots? What did that have to do with anything? That one especially was like, huh? It was like, one last thing. This kid can dance, and
we're gonna work this right on in here.
Because they forgot about it. They had to put it back in. They were like, "Oh shit, we tossed him up as a dancer, and he doesn't have an ending.
Just
he was like our lead or something."
Stuff, So it's I'll go 2.5.
And I went back and watched, before watching this, I went back yesterday and I watched Duel.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch Duel?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice. Whoa. Duel kicks ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's this.
Hold up. Duel is great. Have you seen Sugarland Express?
Duel rocks. Watch that also. I watched that with Kira last night too. I liked it. I like Duel a lot more.
Okay.
Sugarland Express is like good. I don't like anybody.
No, that's fine. However, if you then want to go and watch, I think, a slightly better version of Sugarland Express, you should definitely check out Raising Arizona.
Okay.
It's a Nick Cage movie.
Yeah.
From like the 90s, right?
It's a Coen film. It's kind of a better Sugarland Express.
Similar concept.
Yeah, it's a guy who is a habitual criminal who falls in love with the woman who like takes his photograph when he's getting booked in prison. They eventually decide to kidnap a baby together.
Wonderful.
And it's a similar sort of, madcap road movie, but I think it does a better job of one, making the characters a little bit more generally likable, and two, it's entirely screwball, in a much more amplified way.
Yeah. It's not that I dislike the characters of Sugarland Express. It's like I said, I just am like, I don't know. I don't feel, I'm not like compelled. I'm compelled by I'm compelled on the surface of like their journey, obviously, to get their child. But like as them as people, I never feel I never like them enough, and it's not like, oh, you're not supposed to like everybody, or that's the point, or whatever. That's not what I'm talking
You just
about.
never felt like they engaged you enough, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, correct. On the other hand, like I said, Duel is awesome. That movie is very stressful.
Right? Yes. Oh my gosh.
He knows how to,
not much to say.
No, like we said in the show, he knows how to take an hour and change long car chase and give it levels to it, where it never feels like we're repeating the same gag, over and over again. He really manages to make it this perpetually, unsettling sort of journey. No, I really enjoy Spielberg, and I guess everyone has to have some sort of it's, I guess, sort of the comedy rule. Everyone bombs, I think every director probably has to flop in some sense at one point in their career.
And then Homie never came back.
Has he done any other comedies ever?
Not really. Not like this.
Oh, that sucks. Because it's not like he isn't funny. He's very funny.
No, it really feels more like he just has some comedy like throughout his films for the rest of his career. Because let's see.
I did not rewatch Jaws or Close Encounters because I feel like I've seen them recently.
No, and I think that's fair.
But
I guess Hook was meant to be like a family movie.
Well, yeah.
That's probably his really next closest
fantasy.
Yeah.
Anyway, Close Encounters rocks, man. I love.
Oh yeah. Close Encounters is actually probably like my favorite Spielberg film.
That's a tremendous pick.
No, I really enjoy that one. Do you have a favorite Spielberg?
Man, I have no idea. Lauren,
did you like Fabelmans?
Yeah, I loved Fabelmans. I loved it, man.
Yeah,
I told you, like I cried like multiple times watching Fabelmans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that he's a tremendous filmmaker, and I love that he can continue to surprise me as a filmmaker.
I don't know. I like War of the Worlds.
Oh, that's fair.
I love War of the Worlds so much. I don't know if that's fair. I don't know if that's like I don't know if that's a fair pick.
I mean, I've always been a fan of Jaws.
Okay.
I remember I bought that movie one time at the library. They had it on sale in the bins. It was the VHS Jaws. Picked that thing right on up. I was like, this is something that I need to own.
Yeah.
I think that VHS is still at my parents' house right now.
We all picked wrong. It's Ready Player One.
It's truly
comedy.
His best. That's his funniest movie right there. That's the funniest.
What?
So, Nick, what else have you seen lately beyond Steven Spielberg?
So here's everything I've seen this month so far. So Skinamarink. I like that a lot. It's good and scary. That's great stuff there. Watch Skinamarink. Armageddon Time, really good. Just look it up. I don't know what else to say there. Armageddon Time, fantastic. A Wounded Fawn. Okay. It's a horror movie with like some Greek mythology in there.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting. It's all right. Man Called Otto, weird. Wouldn't say it's good. I understand how you would think it's good if you're like old. Not to be.
So like Tom Hanks makes another movie for your dad?
Yeah, I mean, they knows its target audience, and who these ads have been reaching. So There's that. And it's been working. Really weird movie, park car commercial, among other things. Doesn't always work. Tom Hanks is great. Tom Hanks is great.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Tom Hanks innocent as always with everything. Anyway, Megan, pretty fun. Not
Nice.
Not great, but like it's fun. I get why people love it. I wish it was like wackier. It's the you guys know it's this like same team as Malignant.
Mm-hmm.
And Malignant is just insane.
Yeah, that's a
I
movie.
wish Megan was a little crazier with it.
Okay, I get that, especially because like it does sort of vibe a little Child's Play, and like the entire Child's Play franchise.
It's a familiar concept, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, still fun. It has one moment that is like really laugh out loud, really fucking funny. In the middle. Okay, what else? Possession from 1981, awesome. Really scary old horror movie. I say old, but 80s. That is old. I don't care. I rewatched Avatar: The Way of Water.
Hell yeah!
Fuck yeah! What a movie!
Excellent movie.
Can't handle.
No.
Gotta see it again before it's gone.
Yeah.
Gotta see it 5 more times before it's gone.
Good stuff. Sick, which is a new slasher movie. It's on Peacock. It's written by the guy that wrote the Scream movies. William Richardson, I think is his name. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's completely wrong, but anyway, pretty good. Very simple pandemic set, but like really well directed, like really awesome chase scenes that are like kind of Scream-esque. And like the killer is like, it's like established pretty early on, like it's just like a person, right? In the same way that like ghost faces, so like they like can be hurt and they like aren't like some unstoppable like assassin. So pretty good. I saw Plane, the Gerard Butler and Mike Coulter action movie. Plane was pretty fun. Plane's a pretty good time. I do recommend Plane. Mike Coulter and Gerard Butler's characters, they don't have any chemistry or anything like that, but it's really not important because they don't do anything until like the third act. Sorry for the advertising there. Pretty fun though. Awesome stuff. I will say. It's like part like disaster movie, like with like a plane crash, and then that turns into like an action thriller.
Okay.
And like it has some bite to it with I don't care as much about like the action part to it, like the disaster, like plane survival element, like first half of the movie was a lot more was working a lot better for me. I do recommend Plane. Plane's fun.
Okay.
Stuff, man. Crowd pleasing stuff. You know what I mean? Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm almost done. I'm sorry. So I've seen a lot of stuff. All Quiet on the Western Front. The new
okay.
Last year. Really, really good. Expensive looking. Some really great stuff going on there. Apparently, this was like the lead actor's first time like acting like in a movie, which is crazy. He's like a stage actor. But like fantastic work translating to camera, my guy.
Nice.
Really good stuff if you like war movies or anti-war movies, whatever you want to call them. Okay, I saw The Territory, National Geographic documentary about like one of the last indigenous tribes in Brazil. fighting like deforestation and like defending like the last of the rainforest. Pretty insane shit. It takes place like leading up to Bolsonaro's election. All the way through to 2020, like in the middle of 2020. And pretty dire stuff. Really insane that a camera crew is there. It ends with they have a 20-year-old is like in charge of the tribe, and he's brought like modern technology into it, so they now like patrol the rainforest with drones and shit. So really crazy stuff, and the tribe themselves like take over like the whole last half hour or so of the film, where they're like just give us the equipment and like we'll make like the documentary ourselves, basically. Really crazy stuff. It's on Disney Plus.
Oh, nice.
There's a lot of crazy stuff on Disney Plus now that they since National Geographic stuff is on there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I watched The Drop, new comedy on Hulu. Had a couple going on vacation, and one of them drops a baby. That's it. Sometimes it's really funny. Same issues like we're talking about. I don't like any of these characters, and it's like half of the point that you're not supposed to like them, but like I also just like end up not caring. It's more like I'm confused by them. I don't understand any of them. Sometimes it's funny. Yeah. Alice Darling, drama starring Anna Kendrick that just came out about a woman in an abusive relationship. Very good. Very, very good stuff. Yep.
Okay.
Missing. This movie got heckled at the screening that I saw. This is the sequel to Searching, which was like the thriller like told entirely like through screens.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know the movie I'm talking about? Yeah. This movie is really silly. I think to me in a very entertaining way. So it becomes kind of funny. It becomes very ridiculous. I could talk about this movie like forever. Absurd. Very funny. Very funny and unintentional. God. Okay. And Sorry About the Demon is the last movie.
Okay.
This is on Shudder. It's a horror comedy. Also pretty funny. A little too long. Needs to shave some stuff off. But some good laughs. Solid. Pretty clever take on like demonic possession.
Okay.
Sorry. That went on forever. I've watched way too much this month, and I'm about to right after this. Next up, I'm about to watch Possessor, Brandon Cronenberg. Since on Friday I'm going to go see Infinity Pool.
Okay. Nice.
This is new movie.
Well, the only thing that we've seen lately, honestly, we went and we saw Porgy and Bess at the Blumenthal. We saw the America's Only Opera. Very good. They needed to
the hell out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have been.
I liked it. I thought that was very good. They needed to have some sort of microphones on stage because certain people just were not competing well with the orchestra. And they were just getting drowned out, and we were losing words, and we were not like far away. We had like very good seats, and we were just losing too much.
But honestly, that space wasn't really built for that kind of performance. You know,
have you been to? Yeah, you kind of like have to build in like an opera house itself, in a way. What was I going to say? Have you been to an opera before?
Yeah, I've been to.
Word.
Not I didn't go to I went to a full opera when I was a kid, but then more recently I went to like they did like an opera season sampler thing here in Charlotte right before one of their new opera seasons, and we went for one of Madeline's birthdays to that, and so it was like a whole
sampler.
Yeah, it was like a whole selection of what they were going to do, sort of in the coming opera season. Because opera
crazy.
doesn't happen year round. It happens in like
yeah. Were there a good amount of people there?
Oh yeah.
That's good. That's nice. I have no idea how well the opera is doing.
Honestly, that's the thing. I was pretty surprised at how well Porgy and Bess's crowd like turned out. Like it was a big crowd for a 2 p.m. matinee.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we were packed in there.
Yeah.
You would have thought it was an evening show.
Yeah.
I think that was because of also like the limited run of it. People were like, we got to get in here if we want to see this thing.
Yeah, there were only like the 4 performances of it.
Exactly.
Because it's not a touring show, it's like Carolina Opera. So it's not, right, something that you can like go and catch in like Georgia or wherever,
Stay put.
But that's pretty much all that we've seen lately.
I remember the first voice teacher I ever had tried to get me like to do like opera, like vocals, like that. That's like what she like taught. That's just like the person my mom found. And she was like, she was like, I think we're gonna teach you how to do opera. I'm like, that's not really what I'm going for.
It's not really a part of the brand.
I'm gonna say, that's not part of the brand. Yeah. That doesn't really fit my style,
Exactly.
It's like literally, like I was there for like musical theater stuff, like
yeah.
But sing it like an opera star. Duh.
I'm like, it's not. It's also not what I'm interested in at all. Like, it's not going to work.
So we're gonna have to see other people.
But she may have been onto something. It's not like anything else worked. My dreams were dashed. Maybe she was just being mean. She was like, yeah, you can't be doing this stuff that you gave me. You're gonna sing opera.
That's right.
She was trying to save me. I'm sorry, Miss. What's your name? I don't remember your
name. Oh Lord! All right. That's honestly, I think, just about everything that we have for y'all tonight. What's next week? We're in February, so we're done with Steven.
Oh my gosh, we're done with Steven. Right? Yes.
Yeah, because next Friday is February, I think.
His time is up.
So
that's right.
It's been an interesting dive, going back to some of his early work, especially, some of the stuff that picks up right where, the Fableman sort of leaves his sort of fictionalized, version of himself. And I've really enjoyed this journey down his filmography. Some of them, actually pretty much all of them, movies that I was unfamiliar with, that I'm glad that I went back and watched, because you can also definitely see, I think, across all of them where his career would later go.
No, honestly.
Nick, of course, will link all of your socials down below. Still, of course, writing
all 25 of them.
That's right, still over at Discussing Film.
We're here, we're there, we're everywhere.
And yeah, thanks you guys.
It's a global movement.
Thanks as always, you guys, for listening, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.